The University of Arizona women's basketball team is the first team to hold TCU to a deficit at the half in the last 2 years. Just how good is that TCU team? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about the game that was this last weekend as Arizona falls to TCU, a final score of 78-62. Down in Tejas. You know, the Big 12 is turning into the Big Texas as the Texas teams have come to be the top teams in the conference across the board. TCU now at 18-1, kind of up there at the top as Texas Tech falls. We'll talk a little bit later about the rest of the Big 12 conference and see what's happening there. This is a game that saw Arizona be the first team to have a lead against TCU in the last 2 years at the half at home for TCU. TCU's been down at the half, but not at home in the last 2 years. This video brought to you by Old Pueblo Coin, as always. Old Pueblo Coin, if you want any free appraisal action on gold and silver, paper money, coins, currency, all that good stuff. Also, they got stuff for sale. Check them out, Old Pueblo Coin, 4255 East Speedway. Our starters for this game were Denia Trammell, Nora Francois, and then we had Sugapong, Cornfield, and Welch, all rounding out our guard positions. Welch played a full 40 minutes, and a nice game for her overall. She didn't have as many rebounds as she's been getting in that amount of time, but she did chip in 4 steals and have a couple of assists. A nice showing for her. Cornfield and Sugapong both playing 37 minutes and took the lion's share of shots for this team in this game. Arizona scores 15 points and 15 points, and then 18 and then 14. So a nice rounded attack quarter by quarter for this team, getting them to 62. Really got doomed in the third quarter where TCU had something like a 12-0 run, something like that, and had a 27-18 quarter in that third quarter, and then a 23-14 quarter in the fourth quarter. I think combination probably of us running out of gas a little bit here, but also can we just look at what this team did statistically against TCU is pretty impressive. I know TCU still gets to 78 at the end of the day, but also we hold TCU to 43% from the field. They go 7 of 29 from the three-point line. TCU likes to shoot a lot of three-pointers. Hats off to our team for only taking 9 three-pointers. For those of you who don't know, our leading shooter, Michaela Purdue, is out, possibly for the season. Coach after the game didn't say anything along those lines, but also said when you lose your best player, and then she said, like we did a couple weeks ago, it really made it sound like Purdue may be out for a long time. This is a team that shot a ton of threes last week against UCF, and it cost us the game. And a team that I think is going to have to go ahead and move to be a lot more of an interior team, not because we don't have kids that can shoot, but we don't really have kids that should be shooting a lot of threes. Samaya Sugapong goes for 2 from 5 from outside, and Cornfield 1 for 2, Welch 0 for 1, and then we had, I think Molly Ladwood was 1 for 2, 1 for 1 from outside. That was the only other three-pointer taken from the bench. Speaking of the bench, nice showings from both Blessing Adebanjo and Achol Magat. This is where I think the season may shift a little bit to where we need to be a lot more post-heavy as we see both those girls get about 15 and 16 minutes apiece. Blessing getting 9 points of 4 for 5 from the field and fouling out in 15 minutes. I think she plays as long as she does until she fouls out. Actually, for the most part, Coach has been playing them not together. Those two players, Adebanjo and Magat, have been playing separate roles at the same time, or the same role at separate times, I should say. Magat getting 12 points on 4 of 8 from the field, 4 of 5 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds. A really nice showing for her. And I just think that she's going to have to be a big part. One or both of them are going to have to be a big part moving forward for us. What's impressive about this team is what the coach's staff has been able to do. Coach after the game applauding both the staff's plan against this TCU team and then also the players' ability to handle the plan. Really trying to slow down world beater Olivia Miles. This is another player who is just anyone would want her on their team. She still gets 16 points in 37 minutes, but she goes 4 from 14 from the field. We really, I think, had her frustrated, 1 for 8 from outside, but 7 of 7 at the line. This is a team that shot 19 of 21 at the free throw line, by the way. Nice showing for them there. Would you believe we got out-rebounded? Yeah, just a little bit. Maybe you've been here before and seen 41-28, not a good showing in the rebounding, but also coach actually praised our ability to box out well. And in general, I think all around she was very sincere when she talked about being proud of this team, even in the loss, which I'm glad to hear her say, and not in a way that's like condescending or anything. She like really appreciated the team's effort today, as did any one of us. I mean, if it's not easy to go up against a team where a lot of their players are considered some of the best in the country, a team that's a top 10 team, and go into their house and kind of punch them in the nose and make them bleed a little bit. Speaking of that, we got a couple technical fouls, not for punching anybody in the nose. I'm going to go homer on this just a little bit and say, can we maybe like not get technical fouls for our players when our 5'4" guard blocks their like 6-foot guard and out of bounds, and she just kind of looks at her and says something a little bit, compared to the number of times our kids get blocked and stared down and stepped over and yelled at and don't get technical fouls. Someone's biased here just a little bit, and it would be me. So all in all, I still think it's hard for us when Sukapong's taking 13 shots or Cornfield's taking 16. Not the end of the world. I mean, 5 for 16 for Cornfield, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Nicely done. We only had 16 turnovers, by the way, and we turned them over 17 times. To me, this is still very impressive what we're doing as far as on defense. We may not be able to control the other team as they continue to get the ball inside against us or out-rebound us, but I will say our guard pressure is very good still. At the end of the day, TCU just too much firepower from too many different people. They had players with 10, 15, 12, 16, and 11 points, and 9, and the last 2 players with 2 and 3. So out of their 8 players that played, they had 5 of them in double digits. And they're a really well-rounded team. We will see. Basketball is still about matchups. Coach still may end up having games where she doesn't play Magat or Adebanjo as much, but in my mind, I feel like one of them has to kind of like always be on the court. If not, I would like to see them both at the same time occasionally, but I think one of them should be on the court, and then Francois and Trammell can kind of split time at the 4 and then run your guards. Still, personally, would like to see a little bit more of Cam Kitchen. She played 4 minutes. Molly Ladwig played 5. Both those girls, I think, could give a good spell, a good amount of rest to Cornfield, Welch, and Sukapong. Just a little bit, not a lot. Just give them each a few more minutes on the court, one man's opinion. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what's coming up. We are playing against Kansas Tuesday night at McHale Center. This is another one of those games that I had circled as a must-win, as Kansas is not very good this year compared to years past. They are currently second to last in the rankings, 1 spot below us. And we had a few little shakeups this weekend as Kansas State, which I considered to be kind of in that bottom 3rd quadrant where I considered us to be, went ahead and stepped up and beat the Texas Tech Red Raiders to give them their first loss of the year. So that to me was a little bit of a surprise win. At the end of this week, we play Iowa State, and it's an unfortunate timing, I think, as Iowa State has lost 5 straight games and has not looked good in the process. They've had some players dinged up, but still, watching them play, they seem like they're not firing very well on all cylinders as a team. It's the kind of team where it feels like if they played as well as we've played at times as a team, they just crush some people. But that game I'm looking forward to because I think that's a winnable game, as I think the Kansas game is a winnable game. I'm also looking forward to see how we play against one of the best forwards in the league, and I'd like to see how Magat and Adebanjo stack up against Crooks. But this Kansas game on Tuesday night is kind of one of those must-win games for us. Any of the teams that are kind of in our same quadrant or lower, I feel like we should really take advantage of those games. And, well, not that they're not trying to win. Kansas currently is at a 11-8 record. We're at 10-7. They are, let me see here, in the league 1-6. We are 1-5, and they have, let me see, Samaya Nichols averaging 18.5 points a game for them. They have someone who's only been in for 9 games, a 6'2 freshman named Jelaya Davis, who is averaging 20 points a game in 28 minutes. So in her 9 games played, she's been a big impact for them, but they still, even with her in there, have not been winning games. I watched a little bit of them play the other day. I'm trying to remember who they were playing against. That they had, I think it was BYU, and this is a very winnable game. Nichols is leading them in assists, points, and steals, and we'll see from here. They've got Davis is averaging 20, Nichols is averaging 18, Williams at 10, Meister at 9, Evans at 9, and then after that it falls off into the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 kind of categories. Very winnable game. This is a team that is shooting 47% from the field, which is pretty good. Overall, 35 from the three-point line. They actually have an efficiency that's kind of similar to us in lots of ways. They are also getting out-rebounded a lot by other teams. So a little bit more on our par, but I really hope that McHale gets some good home cooking, that the girls come out fired up with a chance to go ahead and win. The hard thing is, of course, after that BYU game, we turned around and had a tough go against the UCF team, which I thought we should have beat. We will see how it goes from here. All right, so we've got Kansas this week, Iowa State next week. And as far as the overall look of the conference right now, Texas Tech, TCU, Baylor, Oklahoma State, the top 4 teams, then West Virginia, Utah, Arizona State, and BYU, Kansas State, Colorado, Cincinnati, and Iowa State, UCF, Arizona, Kansas, and Houston. Not quite how I dropped my quadrants. I think that West Virginia team might be one of those top 4 teams. Oklahoma State, I was sleeping on, and I was remiss. Oklahoma State, I think, is probably a lot better than I gave them credit for early on. And then that middle of the pack, though, is just so hard, or the middle of the Big 12. I mean, Arizona State, BYU, Colorado. I don't know if Kansas State's all that good. Iowa State's in the bottom third of the conference right now, and that's a team that's, could probably step up and beat anybody with the talent that they have. So we will see how the rest of the week goes. Everyone have a good week, and hope to see you down at the McHale Center. Get down there and cheer the kids on, and bear down.